Hey there, Business Freedom Podcast listeners. I am super excited today. We've got Richard Schulman out of the left coast, Santa Monica, LA area. And we were just kind of getting started here and just learning a little bit about his business. How many million of volume will you do this year? Just to kind of hook the audience, Richard.
I think we've closed everything that's going to close this year, but about $138 million in volume.
Awesome. So there's the hook. So this guy's been around the block in real estate, and he's going to tell us the good, the bad, the ugly about his journey. So let me start there. Are you prepared to share the good, the bad, the ugly about your business growth journey?
You told me I had to say yes, so I'm going to say yes.
Yeah, and the reason we asked the question, there's a lot of goodness to learn from where others have struggled. Tell us something. Get us started here personally. Like what motivates you? You got a family. How'd you get into real estate? Kind of set the stage for us here.
Sure. So, interesting origin story to my real estate career. I never really thought of real estate as a career. My family's not in real estate. They didn't have any particular interests. So I became a painting contractor in college. I did one of those student painting companies that some people may be familiar with. And I never thought of myself as a salesperson, but I did very, very well. I was their top salesperson. I think I broke or set a lot of the records, which I'm sure have now been broken. But I just was, for some reason, really good at selling home painting jobs, which is, not anything I would have guessed or my parents would have guessed. And oddly enough, they sort of ran it like a Keller Williams operation, is that they realized I was terrible at painting the houses, but really good at selling the job. So I got an operations manager. And so I was just doing sales. He was doing the operations. We split the profit, and it was going really well. There was a recession. We thought, painting business is going to, where. And then we started getting a ton of jobs, even more than before. And it was because there was a housing boom and everyone was painting their house and selling it. And so we both thought, I don't know if you've ever painted a house, Lars, or anyone listening. Painting a house is really fun one time, but painting a house like 40, 50 houses each summer sucks. So everything you own gets paint on it eventually, and your hands are always covered in paint. And I'm not even doing the painting. So I got into real estate, moved back home to LA, got into real estate, and that was the last time I ever painted anything. Awesome. Other question was, I do have a family. I have 3 little kids, 6, 4, and 1. And so, I work for them. I listen to Gary. I'm trying to create a legacy for them so that they can do whatever they want to do, that they're always taken care of. That's the only thing that gets me up in the morning, or I guess let's say the main thing.
Yeah. Awesome. So let's get the motivational ball rolling. So what's a good motivational quote that you've kind of held on to over the years?
Gotcha. So I usually have it. So I'm at my desk right now. I usually have it hung up right there. And if anyone comes in my office, I point to them. So I'll see if you guys can see this. And that's from Star Wars.
Try not.
Yeah. So whenever someone says the word try, and this is in bold too, if you guys have taken bold, there is no try. We do or we don't do. And usually we're trying to do something. So we are doing things, we're not trying to do things. And I don't know how motivational that is, but I think it's a good way to think about the world.
Describe the picture, because this is mostly people are going to listen to this.
Oh, okay. So it's just a picture of Yoda. If you haven't seen Star Wars, I think it's episode 5, but I may be wrong. And it's Yoda and it says, "Try not, do or do not, there is no try." So it's a quote from the movie. But I think it's just an interesting way to reframe your thoughts. And I still say try a lot. I think I just said try about 30 seconds ago. But it's just an interesting way to, every time you say, I'm going to try to do it, and you instantly snap in your head, I'm going to do it, right? Don't try to do it. Either do it or don't do it. But if you try, you usually don't do. Yeah. And so there's probably more eloquent quotes than that, but that one always keeps me centered on, just really think, I think mindset's really powerful. So just the mindset of doing or not doing is better than the mindset of trying.
Yeah, for sure.
And of course, we tell our kids to try their best, which is a weird contradiction to that.
Do your best.
Yeah.
So let's kind of break down your growth in real estate. So I want to, so for example, my growth, you get into the business, you don't know what you don't know, you get busy, you probably do the right things, and then you're hiring an assistant, maybe you're hiring a couple agents, let's break down that first phase of growth for you. When did you get into the business? How long did it take you to get busy? What'd you fail at? What'd you do really well? What'd your schedule look like? Let's go back to when you first got into the business.
So I was a terrible agent at first. So we probably want to fast forward a while. I was at a different company. There was 20 minutes of training each week, which is not enough. I'll just go out there and say 20 minutes a week is not enough. The training was really focused on, the number one focus was how to not get sued, which is not a bad thing to train on, to be honest, but like you can't get sued if you can't sell houses. So they were like, go sell a house and then we'll tell you what to do. So 9 months in, I eventually was like fairly close to quitting, quite honestly. 9 months in, I sold the house off of an up call, if anyone remembers what that is. Basically, you answer phone calls at the front desk of the office. People used to call the front desks of offices for info on homes. Now they look on their phone. I sold the house, like showed up an hour later, had a full price contract out on it. That actually became my third sale when they got divorced like 2 months later. And then so things started happening for me then. But there was no training. I came to KW after about 2.5, 3 years there. And then the training was so overwhelming that I didn't really engage with it for quite a while. And so it took me another couple years to get really engaged in the KW training. And I would say that's where really the growth happened, when I really got engaged in how do you run a business like a business. You know, one of our challenges here in LA is our price point's so high that, you know, you were saying your agents are doing 7, 9, 11 units a year. You do 7 units a year here in LA at a 1-2 price point, you're making a nice living. And there's you're not driven or pushed necessarily to solve a lot of your problems. So by jumping into the training, eventually I was able to really, okay, how do we create a business? How do we create abundance for myself and for my team members?
Yeah. And just so everyone understood the comment, it was the agents on our team do 100+ units on average. When you made when you said your agents, it was in our market center.
Right. And those are fairly average numbers according to NAR as well.
Yeah. So we were chatting about you know, in the number one KW market center in the world, our average agent will sell 7 homes. And you know, that is what's broken with the industry. There's not a lot of focus on, you know, how do you make a great living in real estate? You know, how you build a sustainable business. So let's break down what did the second, third, fourth year look like? Like, when did real estate start to take off? When did you get a first assistant? When did you sort of start to figure out, you know, what are some lessons you learned in those early years getting in the business?
So I did everything wrong. We don't have enough time probably to cover that. You probably have more interesting people to talk to. But a funny story is at the bottom of the foreclosure market in 2009, I had one of these guys. I'm sure if anyone's dealt with foreclosure investor before, this guy kept calling and saying, I want to buy this house. I want to offer 50% of the asking price, but I'll pay cash. So you've had those. If you guys are new agents, you may not have seen that market, but you'll see it soon enough when the foreclosures come and these guys are, you know, driving around trying to offer 50%. And so I wasn't calling the guy back because, you know, it's crazy. No one's going to do that. He found the owner of the office's number, who I'd never spoken to before. She called me and said, he will never call me again, whatever you have to do. So I go to the office meeting and I say, I need someone to help me show properties, and thinking I'm going to pawn him off on someone in the office. And this guy stood up, Peter, and Peter said, I'll do it. I said, here's the guy's info. He wants to see homes this Saturday. Peter calls me Sunday. He says, so we're in escrow for like $1.3 million. And I'm like, you're such an idiot, Peter. You don't even know what you're doing. You're a new agent. You're not an escrow. You probably wrote an offer. I'm like, send me the papers you have. He had a fully executed contract, $1.3 million, all cash, 10-day close. So I'll send Peter a link to this. Peter ended up being a buyer's agent of mine for about 6 years after that. So then I said, oh, we got to get a contract on how we're going to share this deal, because we just sort of said that handshake. And so that was the buyer's agent. And then I realized the power of leverage, that I had leads and I could teach Peter and eventually other buyer's agents how to work those leads. The next thing happened was I went out of the country, and my office made me hire an assistant to watch my desk. This is like, this is actually a year before as the assistant, because this is really before you could just bring your iPhone anywhere in the world. You know, I had a BlackBerry with a scroll on the side. And so the office said, you got to hire someone to like keep an eye on your files while you're gone. So that got me an assistant. That girl, Gabby, worked for me for about 5 or 6 years also. And Peter, became a buyer's agent for me for about 6 years or so. And ended up moving to the Midwest, but did a great job. Now I was, okay, hey, this works. What's the next step? Then I started going to Family Reunion and getting really into the training of Keller Williams. And I, it works so well here. Now we have 10 buyer's agents, right? If we can make one buyer's agent work, we can do 10, right? So that's.
And so, so during that time where it's funny that, my first assistant stayed with me for 7 years and my first buyer's agent stayed with me for 7 years. And that just having a couple, 3 people that were consistent, because if your journey was anything like mine, it wasn't always, perfect hiring practices, where agents didn't want to work very hard and they weren't going to treat, the leads with the respect that they needed to be treated with. But so what's the second phase of growth for you then? So when are you at, when do you get to 40 to 50 million? That's a decent sized business. How long did it take you to get there? And where'd you go from there? What did you shift your focus on? I mean, did you give up buyers? Have you been prospecting every year since? Like, what's your sort of fundamental belief about the business that we can learn from?
There's so much to share there. I think for me, it comes down to, you really have to care about the success of your team members. And I think people maybe have the wrong idea about teams. They're going to say, hey, Lars, join my team. I'm going to give you all the crap leads. I think it's got to be, hey, Lars, join my team. I'm invested in your success. And as a result, I'm going to give you an equal opportunity to the crap leads, but also to the great leads, like the come list me's, because it's not possible to build a team around, okay, well, Richard's going to take all of the easy come list me, vacant home, high price point, out of area seller, and you're going to take all the difficult buyers, because that's not going to work. So for me, the most important thing is just, how do I help my team members succeed? Because if they succeed, then I succeed. So when we set out our 135 for next year, 135 is sort of just a very simple goal setting worksheet for our team. And I told them my personal goal for next year was to make sure that I had 3 agents over 200K net, 3 over 150, and 3 more over 100. So I know that, my one thing, and I'm using a lot of KW lingo here, but I know that if I focus on getting them to success, then I don't need to do anything else, because if they're successful, the team is successful. So I give up all the leads to them. I only really work with, personal friends or repeat clients of mine, and I just try to help them succeed. So I hope that answers the question. But that's really the first thing that popped into my head.
Yeah. Let's talk about something that I don't think is shared very often in our industry. Some of your failure points. Anyone that's building something, there's got to be some failure in there, in their journey. Yeah. What are some failures that, maybe some tough time where it wasn't a lot of fun, maybe you considered giving up?
Well, I'll give you 2 examples. First, I would tell you, and this is something that it took me a long time to learn, is I was always looking to hire the least expensive people, and I was always unhappy when I got poor results out of that. So now when I hire people, I'm looking for the best people and to pay them the best money. And so that was, it may sound, everyone's like, oh, of course, I'm not going to do that, or I'm not doing that. But I think we all start that way, or most of us start that way. And that doesn't work. And that took me I've been to a lot of hiring and training classes, and that doesn't work at all. So that's really the good lesson. I think, my observation about real estate is that most people don't stay in real estate more than 10 years. And this is now my 15th year. So, quite honestly, there's a lot of burnout. It's hard to like wake up every day and be like, Lars, your home is overpriced. Can you drop the price, please? Yes, I know you have the best house in the block, but it's not selling. So the market's telling us that it's overpriced. It's hard to get up and do that. We can say every day is different, but every day is the same, right? Like, call your sellers, call your buyers. Lars, please take my offer. My buyer's the best. Like, it's hard to wake up and do that. I went through an experiment with a friend of mine to sort of solve that. And he said, go find a job that's better than your job. And I sincerely spent over a year talking to people, thinking about it. And I came back a year later and I said, there is no job better than selling houses to people. The money you can make, the freedom that you can achieve for yourself, the success you can get for your team members. And, without sounding corny about it, like, I believe, and I'm sure that you do too, I really believe that we can make a difference in our clients' lives. There's still a lot of underperforming agents out there, and there's still a lot of opportunity. Real estate's a field where an average person could buy property and become financially above average. It's the easiest and maybe the only way to do it. So, those four things combined make real estate such a great job that I got past my disappointment, and now I'm once again contented.
Yeah, it is. I mean, perspective is everything. We and my kids don't get it. We live in this beautiful house, and we went to a meal packing event with our Y Guides troop, and we're packing meals that would end up in a third world country where every 6 seconds a child dies. And it's like, not that, I mean, our worst days are like 1,000 times better than most of the world. So that's really interesting, though. There really is no better with all the challenges that we have to put up. There really is no better job, and you can make this into a business and sort of make that switch over and help people, obliterate their limiting beliefs and have,
Mm-hmm.
The agents on my team that are making, we have a couple agents that'll make 225 this year, and they maybe they could do it on their own, but I'm pretty sure they couldn't, because they can't do all the details of everything by themselves. They'd have to hire an assistant. They'd have to generate their own leads. They'd have to do all these things. So let's dig into the current business a little bit. Tell us about your team structure, number of agents, top agent, what volume will they do, lowest agent, how do you onboard new team members? Let's just kind of dig into everything you got going on for the team. Can you hear me okay?
Sure. So the team right now, 10 buyers agents. We have a couple of expansion agents that sort of operate in concert with the team. We have a 3-person administrative team with 1 person as the administrative head. I'm going to lose count of all the people, but we'll edit it later. I've got a director of sales / sales manager / internal coach. And we've got a couple, runners, showing assistants, etc. So the big hire this year was we replaced and upgraded our sales manager, training manager, coach, whatever you want to call it. But it's really important to us to have our agents do the Keller Williams training, but also layer on top the training they could get with our own internal training. So we're adding 4 or 5 hours a week of structured training to the team, plus a lot of take-home material. Our buyers agents are newer on average. We've had some people move out of town and some turnover there. So our top 2 agents did about 15 million in sales volume this year. One was a 4th year on our team. One was 5th year on the team, but 1st year in sales. So that's good. We've had almost everyone else over 8 million in sales, except we have a couple new agents who are on that path. So we've had quite a few agents who've gotten to 8 million, and we expect next year to have a couple people hit 20. 20 would be that benchmark we'd like to see people hit. If 8 million a year you asked about bottom. If you're not doing 8 million a year on the team, I mean, you're there's not a place for you. It's not profitable enough for us, and it's not profitable enough for you. And if you're not profitable, like we've been down that path before, it doesn't go well. The things we've learned over the last few years of really doing this at a high level, because this is really like year 3 of doing like a wide team, is that consistency is the most important. So we're really looking when we're hiring and training on how to find the right people who want to make a career out of it, who want to have a 10-year plan to work real estate, not who want to try it out and hope it works out for them, because it's real expensive for us, especially as far as like client loss, to have someone come for 18 months and then leave. So call it 15, 17 people working on the team.
Okay.
Oh, we just hired a virtual assistant, if you count that.
Yeah, and what's funny, I mean, we coach a lot of big teams across the country, and they seem to forget like the basics of real estate. Like, are you coaching? Are you going to spend the next 3 months digging into every yard sign call and what your agents say? And are you like, do you even know what your agents are doing on a buyer consultation? like really, inspecting what you expect. So that's really powerful. It's, our theme as a real estate team next year is squeeze the lemon. We cut out all of our home search leads for next year. We cut out about 10,000, cut our radio in half from 20 to 10. We cut out probably 2/3 of our Clients for Life program spend, and we're still expecting to increase, but we're just going to do it on less and getting better at our skills. And that's a nugget right there. You don't need to spend more money, to sell more homes. You just need to be better at doing the thing that, that matters most.
Yeah, we're under 2% of our GCI to marketing expenditure. And I think it's, if I cut it out, I would only lose 10% of my volume. So, I think that the teams of the future will run on close to zero marketing spend. I just don't think that you need it. If you can collect information and build a moat around your database, every time someone leaves, and each of our agents has their own database in the master database. So if you were on the team, you'd have your own 800 people or so. Every time someone leaves and we call through the 800 just to sort of recapture them, we find there's 15 that bought a home. And of course, we're not going to get all of them, and maybe some are making it up, so we get off the phone with them. But some of those people bought a house, and we missed that opportunity because of poor follow-up and poor scripting. So I don't need to buy more Zillow leads to get more people like that. I got plenty of people like that. I don't need to, do anything else except master calling those people and selling them a home. Because I know that if we can get in front of them, we'll do a better job than anyone else.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, so I'm going to shoot just rapid fire questions at you. So we're going to go short answers on these, whatever comes to your mind first, all right?
Is that because I was talking too much before?
No. So tell me, what keeps you up at night when it comes to your business?
I used to, and I don't.